Hello and welcome to another Demon 212 VC review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at Mario Golf 64. It's not technically called 64, but I always had the 64 simply because there's other Mario Golfs. There's Game Boy Color one, Game Boy Advance one, GameCube one, and I don't know if there's going to be any more because as much as I'd like that to be a 3DS one, I don't see it working because golf can take so long, especially on a 4-player game, that it might just well take more than a full battery unless you're using the Nyko in order to actually get a round of golf in with your mates on 18 holes for 4-player. So I don't know if they'll do one for the 3DS. I know they're doing the Mario Tennis and I can't wait. To be fair, by the time you're watching this, the review for the Mario Tennis one might actually be up. Either way, this is Mario Golf on the N64. It's 4-player with only one pad because you can alternate, which is pretty cool. So if you've got limited pads or if you've got limited GameCube pads or classic controls or anything like that, that's excellent. You can go to continue, which is when you've saved in the middle of a course. You can go to clubhouse, which you can view status, how to play and options. But for now I'm going to start on 2-player simply to mention the options. Because the multiplayer options, you've got stroke golf, fewer strokes wins, and you can have handicaps too. Match game, heated competition on each hole, so to whoever wins the hole. Skins match, get a star coin for each hole. And then I believe it says it's a point for the most coins. It's the one that I play the least, so I don't really know much about it. Club slots is where it randomly chooses your club and you've got to play with that club, so you might get a pitching wedge right at tee off or something like that, you know, right near the start when you're still 400 yards away and the maximum you can hit something like 70 yards, so it just randomizes and makes it a game of luck. And then you've got mini golf, which is actually why I bought this version, where you can choose front 9, back 9, 18 or bet, and it's actually a little gutting that there isn't any replayability on this, any way to save, because the very first time I did this hole, I actually got a hole in one. I was chuffed and no one will believe me except my brother who was there when I did it. And well, basically it's the decent game of mini golf. As I say, it's the reason I bought it, because I've already got Mario Golf on the GameCube, Toadstool Tour, and I think it's a far better game than this in every respect. And I know it's a newer game, so I might be about to be a bit harsh on this, but in all honesty, the only things about this that I particularly like are things like this here, where you can choose different colours for the characters, which is pretty cool. You might notice that there's 4 missing. That's because they were the Game Boy Color transfer pack things from playing the RPG mode, which personally I always hated the RPG mode of the sports titles. I hated playing as a nobody who was no good, playing for hour after hour after hour to eventually get them to a point where they were pretty good. I'd much rather start the game as someone who is good to begin with, but that's just me. So obviously you can't use those because there's no link up on the VC version, and there's a load of new characters as well who are also nobodies, so I'll be honest, I find myself sticking to the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 characters that are actual Nintendo characters. So for now, I suppose I'll choose Baby Mario. To be fair though, I might as well mention, you might have already noticed, some swing to the left, some swing to the right, some are straight characters, and it just depends on what type of character you play as in golf. And I personally usually prefer Yoshi on both versions of the game, the GameCube and the N64 one, because he flies straight and I find it easier that way personally, whereas my brother likes to swing to the left. So, just again, personal preference. 1 player though, you get tournament, where there's 6 tournaments to go through. I haven't unlocked that one yet though. You can go and get character, where basically you start with something like 2 or 4 characters and you have to then verse each character to unlock them. There's ring shot, where you hit the ball through the rings and then put the ball. There's speed golf, where you do it fast. There's the stroke golf that I mentioned and the mini golf that I mentioned in the multiplayer. There's training as well, but for now I'm just going to go on tournament and I'll choose that one. Being Mario, you'd expect it to be zany, but this one isn't exactly zany at all. It's just got some weird courses like this here where there's a lot of sand because it's a desert, but it's not filled with anything particularly zany. It's again why I prefer the Toadstool Tour version of the GameCube, because golf can be boring and complicated and annoying and slow, and having the zaniness there, like piranha plants and warp pipes, just makes it more fun for me and my mates, but of our personal preference and all that. So if you like regular golf games, you'll probably really like this, but personally I think the GameCube one's far better, and it's definitely the one to go for. This has a lot of complications in it. For example, as you might have noticed, whenever I'm taking my shot, all I know is that if I get a maximum power on this, then I'll hit it 68 yards. And that's about all I know. That this entire bar here and there, you just have to guess, and I find it a little annoying. The actual shot taking's pretty good, because you push A here, and then you push A again, and then you have to push A again and line it up to be able to do it. But the fact that you don't know how far you're actually hitting the ball, it's a little annoying, and can mean that in order to play a game you need to play it a lot to actually get really good, and then that becomes a case of, well, to play against your mates, they've all had to have played it a lot to get good. Whereas with the GameCube one, there's a lot of things that make it fairer for new players, so you can still play it and all get close scores. It's why this, in all honesty, I think this is probably a perfect golf game for golf fans who only want to play the game one player. If not, then buy the GameCube one, because it will work on the way, obviously. There's quite a bit to do on it if you do enjoy it, though. As I say, there's the 6 tournaments, there's loads of characters to unlock, there's loads of mini games and that. But personally, I'm not a fan of it. Other than the mini golf, I don't really play it that much. It's not really worth 1,000 points just for the mini golf, because I was expecting there to be a lot more to the mini golf than just the 2 courses, and one of which is basically numbers, and then it's some zany shapes. But it's still a decent game, and I suppose as long as we play it enough on the mini golf, then I'll get me 1,000 points worth. Graphically, the game looks decent for an N64 game, but not amazing. Music-wise, it sounds pretty good, but it's just really background music and that. The one thing I can definitely say, like I say with every time I've had to review a golf game, you definitely need concentration to play it, and therefore doing a review while you're playing is a bad idea. But I'll shut up and let you listen to a bit of the music, because obviously background music can be important. If you find it grating, then, you know, you have to put up with it the entire time. Well, that was a bit of the music. The only other things I can see is, obviously you'll have seen the stats all over the screen, and you've probably seen us doing this with a ball. That's basically how you do the spin, which I find, well, not so much spin, it's where you like strike the ball, and I find it a little awkward on this, because you have to hold everything in place while you're taking your shot. So you can't really look at the bar and look at to make sure that you're still holding the analog in the same place to therefore strike the ball where you want it to. It's just things like that that, again, I think were more polished on the GameCube version, and I probably would have liked this a lot more if I hadn't played the GameCube version first, but I did, so I can't really say anything. When you hit start, you can go into course view. When you exit that, you can view your scorecard, you can change grid colour, you can view your controls. There's as well as the stats with where the ball is, and whether it's on rest, flat and that. You can view the wind speed, and obviously that's marked by your boo and the direction the boo's facing and that. So it did have a lot of polish to it, and that's why I'm saying if you are a huge fan of golf games, then you may just well enjoy this. It's just depending on how much you like golf games, really depends on if you're going to actually have any enjoyment with this, and whether or not you want it for a multiplayer game, because your mates are going to have to play it as much as you in order to all be at the same skill level. Because, I mean, hell, you've seen when I was putting that hole on the music, the amount of times I messed up because I just couldn't judge the distance of the hole, because there was no marker saying exactly how far I was hitting the ball. So, I suppose I'll end with that then. So there we go then. That's been the review. I hope you found it helpful. I don't score the games because that's based purely on opinion, so instead I'll leave you to make your own mind up. So thanks for watching, and if you've got any questions about the game that I didn't answer in the vid or that hasn't been answered in the comments, then feel free to ask and I'll help if I can. Also, if you did find it helpful, don't forget to check out my channel because there's plenty more like this up there, and don't forget to subscribe because there'll be plenty more to come as well. So until next time, this has been Demon212, signing off.